Hey, so I'm sure by now you have heard someone talking about Deepseek R1, or you have probably seen it trending on your social media and all of that, and you're wondering what is Deepseek R1, how does it work, and how does it compare to the already existing AI platforms such as ChatGPT and Claude AI. I've been seeing Deepseek trend a lot, and I had to do some research and obviously do a video about it. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about what Deepseek R1 is. I'm going to be going into some details about how it works, and at the end of the video, I'm going to be building just something small, a simple example with Deepseek R1. Before I go into how Deepseek works and all of those technical things, I would first want to talk about why it is trending and why the hype. So why is there this hype around Deepseek R1? Because I've literally been seeing it trending everywhere, like on my social media, on my YouTube, everywhere I go, I've been hearing people talk about Deepseek R1. So I think the main reason why, or the main reasons why Deepseek R1 is trending is because of two things. First, the performance, and secondly, the cost. So Deepseek R1 performs at the same level or almost the same level as the top tier AI models that we know of, ChatGPT and Claude AI, right? And other top tier AI models. It performs at the same level or close to the same level as those AI models, right? And the thing is that this Deepseek R1 is free. It's free and it's open source. So that is what is creating headlines. So you know that, I'm sure by now you know that to use some of the top tier ChatGPT models, such as GPT-4 Turbo, or maybe using O1, you would have to pay a monthly subscription of about, not of about, you have to pay a monthly subscription of $200, right? But then you get to use Deepseek R1 for free, and you are getting the same performance out of it. So that's why like people are just talking about it and all of that. Now I think the second reason is how little it costs to train the Deepseek R1 model. So I've done some research, I've gone through some papers and all of that, and roughly it took around $6 million to train the model, right? So that's what I mean. It's not coming from me, that's what I've read, and that's what I'm telling you. So it took about around $6 million to train the model. And according to CNBC, in DeepSeek's paper about its newest artificial intelligence model, the company stated that its total training costs amounted to 5.576 million based on the rental price of NVIDIA's graphics processing units. So 5.576 million, almost $6 million, is little as compared to the billions of dollars that it took or takes to train models such as ChatGPT, Claude AI, and the rest. So you get $6 million and you have billions of dollars that it takes to train the other models. So these two reasons, the performance and the cost, are the reason why DeepSeek is trending a lot, right? And because DeepSeek is also free and open source. So the question is, where did Deepseek R1 come from? So was it just an overnight success? No. So the thing is that Deepseek R1 was actually developed by a Chinese AI startup called Deepseek. And these guys have been developing Deepseek for some time now. So they released the version 1 of Deepseek, version 2, version 3. That was released, version 3 was released somewhere in December 2024 before they released Deepseek R10 before they finally released Deepseek R1, which is currently trending. So what makes this AI model special, and why is it more efficient than the other existing AI platforms that we know? So to understand why Deepseek R1 is more efficient, you would have to understand how it works. So Deepseek R1 uses a combination of algorithms and processes um, to come up with answers, right? And the first one that I want to talk about is the chain of thoughts process. So if you prompt R1, you are going to see the steps that it took to arrive to an answer. So you are going to see basically the thinking process of the R1 model, right? So you see the chain of thoughts that it takes to arrive to an answer, right? That's the first approach that Deepseek R1 uses. So the second approach that Deepseek R1 uses that makes it more efficient is utilizing the mixture of expert architecture, which basically breaks the AI model into various subnetworks, right? These various subnetworks can be known as the experts, with each expert focusing on a particular subset of input, right? So if you throw a prompt to Deepseek R1 based on the area or the subset at which the prompt belongs, a particular expert in the AI model deals with that particular prompt. Do you understand? So let's say we have different experts in the AI system that focus on different subsets of problems. So you have the math expert, you have the programming expert, you have maybe the medicine experts, the pharmacy experts. These are just examples, right? So if you throw a programming prompt to Deepseek R1, the programming expert is going to focus on that programming inputs that or tags that you shoot to Deepseek R1, and it will give you an answer, right? It will like work on it, right? So this mixture of experts architecture has a lot going on in the background that I'm not going to be talking about. There's a process that determines which expert solves which input tags and all of that, but I'm not going to go into all of that. The other method or the other process that Deepseek R1 uses, it uses supervised fine-tuning and reinforcement learning, right, which also makes it more powerful. And I'm not going to go into the details of all of that, but what I can say about reinforcement learning is, okay, you can basically think of this like a teacher teaching a student how to cook or draw and allowing the students to draw, but correcting the students as they make mistakes along the way, right? And this correction, so if the teacher allows the students to draw, right, and the student draws well, then the teacher awards the student, right? Or if they make a mistake, they punish the student. So that's basically the concept behind reinforcement learning. So allowing the child to draw, but then correcting the child as they draw and make mistakes. So you just correct the child along the way. So that's just in basic terms the idea behind reinforcement learning. And that's one thing also Deepseek R1 uses. Now, how do you get Deepseek R1 or how do you use it? You can, if you're on a mobile device, you can get Deepseek R1 on the App Store or on the Play Store. So an interesting fact is that when Deepseek R1 was released, it became one of the most downloaded apps on the App Store, essentially displacing ChatGPT, right? So you can get it on the App Store or on the Play Store. You can also get the desktop version on your Mac device or on your Windows device. I'm currently using the web version because it's much straightforward and I don't have to install anything on my device. However, you should take note that all the prompts that you enter into Deepseek R1 is essentially going to be executed or processed on the Deepseek company service. So if you are someone that cares about your privacy and you're concerned about your privacy and how your prompts are executed and processed and all of that, then you should consider installing Deepseek locally on your own machine. So you install or you run Deepseek locally on your own service so that your data doesn't get shipped off to the Deepseek company service and gets like processed over there. So you run everything on your machine locally and everything stays on your machine. So I'm saying this because there has been some concerns raised, or there have been some discussions about potential security issues, including concerns raised by an account on wiz.io that I saw on Twitter. So if you want to run this locally, you can visit Hugging Face and you get more information about how to run Deepseek locally over there. So now that we know about Deepseek and how it works and why there's like all this hype around it and all of that, let's try building a simple application and let's see how it's going to work. So I'm currently using the web version and I'm going to say build me a Tic Tac Toe game using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And this Deepseek R1 button over here, I've toggled it on because I want to see the chain of thought process that I mentioned earlier in the video. So if I send this prompt, it's going to take a while to process. You can see it's thinking, and you can basically see the thought process. So you see the thought process, and I think this is very good because if you ask it a question and it gets something wrong, you can see the process or how it's arrived at the answer that it gave to you, right? And you can basically tell it that it's got it wrong. It's going to think through this, like it's going to think through its solution and give you a better reply. So as I mentioned, the R in Deepseek R1 stands for reasoning. So this is a reasoning model. It's basically like a try and error thing. That's like the algorithm going on behind it. So it's trying to think for itself and come up with answers. So let's just wait for this to finish, and we are going to run the HTML. So one thing I also like about their platform, which is the web platform, I don't know if the same applies to the desktop app and the mobile app, is that you can run the code right on the platform. So this run HTML button right here allows you to run the code and you see the results. So I'm going to click on run HTML, and yeah, we have our Tic Tac Toe game. Let's go on to play it. So x0, x10, yeah, put this here, and put this here, put this here, put this here. So it's a draw. If I just do this, then X wins, and we can see it highlighted. So yeah, it was able to build this simple game for us. And what I just wanted to show you mainly is the chain of thought process over here. You can basically see how it arrived at the answer. So yeah, that's Deepseek R1 for you. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this AI model, and also hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done that. And if you're a software engineer thinking about the capabilities of AI and what it holds for your future career prospects and all of that, kindly watch my video on is AI going to take the jobs of software engineers. Thank you for watching, thank you for staying, and I'll see you in the next one.